Okay, a little after 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, a monster snowstorm and ice storm that is affecting the upper Midwest. And that includes, of course, Minnesota, and it also includes the Dakotas. In fact, the Dakotas are getting hit hard right now. And of course, we are facing at least the potential for some significant snow up here in southern Minnesota too, but I'm more concerned about that, at least the most significant snow, still in northern Minnesota. My tune has not changed at all with this storm system. All right, I just don't think that the heaviest snow, the blockbuster type snows, are going to fall over the Twin Cities, and a lot of it has to do because of a mixture that's going to be falling, especially today, and just the fact that the jet stream structure isn't quite supporting a massive snowstorm here in southern Minnesota. And here's what I mean. This is the jet stream structure now. This is from the NAM latest, absolute latest NAM computer model guidance from this morning at 7 a.m. It's still coming down. But anyway, what I want to show you is that this is a jet streak here that's coming up out of Kansas into Missouri and into southern Iowa. It's a powerful jet streak, okay? And this is bringing dry air from the desert southwest on northeast into, and I'll try to draw it on here, on northeast up into Iowa, or at least it will be this afternoon. And if we actually go back to this morning with this jet stream structure, you can see that it was actually coming up out of the desert southwest and surging north into southeastern South Dakota. Okay, now keep that in mind. All right, that's the jet streak and jet stream, and watch what it does. It continues to push east, and that's critical as we go through tonight and tomorrow. But let's go back to today. Let's go back to this morning. And again, this is where the jet streak is located, from the desert southwest into Nebraska and southeastern South Dakota, southwestern Minnesota. Now, we're going to go to what we call a moisture loop or water vapor loop satellite view from outer space. And this orange area right here, surging up into southeastern South Dakota, is what's considered dry air. And it's being pumped into southeastern South Dakota and Nebraska from the desert southwest via this jet stream and jet streak. Okay, now we showed you, again, let's go back to this. We showed you how that jet stream moves east so that by this afternoon it is located right over Kansas, Iowa, and into portions of southern Minnesota, okay? So in turn, that means, and hopefully you're following with me here, this dry air, this dry punch is going to surge east into Iowa and portions of southern Minnesota later today. That's key because that is going to introduce, and it's already doing it, it's going to continue to introduce at least some dry air in the mid and upper layers of our atmosphere, which will effectively cut off precipitation at times over southern Minnesota, including the Twin Cities. Now, we likely are going to get some drizzle and freezing drizzle out of this, but the idea that we're going to get steady, heavy snows, at least this morning and into this afternoon, are pretty low. All right, what I'm worried about, though, at least when it comes to snow, is that as this jet streak continues to move east, so that by tonight and tomorrow morning, the jet streak is located well east of Minnesota, we are going to get into what we call a trawl, or this could also be considered a deformation axis. It's basically an area of snow that's going to pivot back from east to west, almost like retrograding back into Minnesota from Wisconsin. And we are in a very good lift area when it comes to later tonight and tomorrow, right over southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. So if and when we get snow, it's likely going to be later tonight and definitely tomorrow morning. And I think it's going to be accumulating snow, and I think it will be significant. Okay, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But again, the jet stream structure, not only at 250 millibars, which is jet stream level, which is what you're looking at now, but even at 500 millibars, this is at about 15 to 20,000 feet in our atmosphere, you can see that surge of air or jet stream coming up out of the desert southwest and then surging north and northeast into southern Minnesota, right into southern Minnesota and the Twin Cities, because, of course, here's the Twin Cities right here. So Again, and this is for this afternoon, this dry punch, this surge of dry and sometimes warm air, especially in the middle layers of our atmosphere, is going to effectively cut off precipitation, at least the steady precipitation, through much of this morning and this afternoon over southern Minnesota. And we're going to need to wait for this jet streak to move east of Minnesota, which it does by late tonight, so that we get into this, again, what we call a deformation axis, or mid-level flow of moisture that comes back and pivots back around into eastern Minnesota from Wisconsin. That's when we can expect our snow as we get in to later this evening, overnight, and certainly tomorrow morning. Okay, here is the infrared satellite loop of this storm system. It's a beautiful looking storm. You can see the pinwheeling shape now to the infrared clouds within this infrared satellite loop. So no doubt that there is a low pressure system centered right about here in north central Nebraska. Okay, and again, you can even see on this infrared satellite loop how this drier air, indicative of very little infrared or cooler cloud tops, this drier air is surging into southeastern South Dakota and southwestern Minnesota right now. And again, that's going to continue into the afternoon as it flows into southern Minnesota, including the Twin Cities, and then east into western Wisconsin, including the Eau Claire area. So yeah, we'll get some showery type of precipitation. I think it's going to be sleet or a mixture of rain, sleet, snow as we go through the next 12 to 18 hours. And then we're finally going to get into this area right here. This is this deformation axis of snow that's falling heavily over South Dakota. And when that pivots, when that eventually pivots over southern Minnesota, that's when we are going to get our snow, especially our significant snow. And that happens late tonight and into tomorrow morning. And again, a really beautiful looking storm as it pivots over north central Nebraska. All right, here's the radar summary. And it's very easy to point out where the heavy snow is right now. It's in Bismarck, and it's in southwestern South Dakota. You can see here's Rapid City. We're touring some radars just west of us. And then now here's Sioux Falls, and this is kind of important. You can see this is a more showery type of precipitation. Let's put the radar into motion over Sioux Falls. A lot of showery type precipitation, drizzle, freezing drizzle, spits of light snow, and that's what is surging north now into southwestern Minnesota, and that's going to continue to surge north as this storm pivots east. It'll continue to surge north with this showery type precipitation into southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. In fact, Twin Cities radar, and let's go to that, clearly shows showery type precipitation, and this is as of right about 8:25 this morning, but showery type precipitation moving through the Twin Cities. And again, this is sleet, maybe even some spits of snow, and even some rain. And look at here, even in southwestern Minnesota now, these are showers, maybe even a thunder shower developing down there. So, our atmosphere is primed for stuff to develop, but again, it would be in quick burst, showery type precipitation for about the next 12 to 15 hours before we get into a steadier type of precipitation regime later tonight and into tomorrow morning. Okay, let's get to some model guidance. And you can see right now, this is the NamNest computer model guidance. This is hot off the press, just coming down. And here it is. This is the forecast radar. And here, let's just put Twin Cities on here. Here's the Twin Cities Metro. Okay, let's put forecast radar on. This is what you see in pink, that's ice. So the NamNest computer model guidance is expecting mostly ice over the Twin Cities Metro between this morning and through probably about 6 p.m. this evening. All right, so much of this afternoon should be featuring sleet probably, maybe some spits of rain and some spits of snow. But just kind of a mess of a mixture of rain, sleet, snow, or ice for much of the day today in a showery fashion. And then as that low pressure system, you can see it here over north central Iowa now later tonight, as that low pressure system continues to move east, we are going to get into this deformation axis of snow that is falling over much of the Dakotas right now, and that snow pinwheels back from east to west, or retrogrades from Wisconsin back into Minnesota as we go through the morning tomorrow. This is as of about 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and you can see this is some fairly significant snow that's backtracking into Minnesota from Wisconsin. So that's when I would expect to see the most significant snow, is through tomorrow morning, probably from about 3 a.m. to about noon tomorrow, before the snow slowly comes to an end tomorrow afternoon, and we get into the light snow and flurries tomorrow afternoon. How much snow is the NamNest computer model guidance expecting? And I kind of like where this model guidance is going with the snow totals. You can see through about 6 p.m., not much here in the Twin Cities metro. Maybe coating to 2 inches of snow, maybe an inch of snow, but I think that's even optimistic given the pavement temperatures and the current air temperatures, which are going to be stuck around 32 to 35 degrees. Okay, that's where we're going to be at with the pavement and the air temperatures. So I think it's pretty optimistic to think that we're going to get 1.5 inches of snow out of this by this evening. But watch what happens as we go through tonight and into tomorrow morning. You can see that MSP International in downtown Minneapolis is expecting about 4 to 6 inches of snow, I think, overnight tonight and through tomorrow morning. Okay, and then we get that sharp gradient of snow, which we knew was going to happen, that sets up over the Twin Cities metro, so that when you're in the southern metro, you're going to be looking at more in the 2 to 4 inch range down here, and then northern metro may be exceeding 6 inches when all is said and done. But again, here it is again, Dakota, Scott counties in that 2 to 4 inch range, and then the downtown, the core metro area, somewhere probably in that 5 to 6 inch range, and then northern metro, you're probably getting above 6 inches when it's all said and done, which would be by tomorrow afternoon. But I really like what this guidance is showing now and where it's going with the snow totals as we get into tonight and tomorrow. And of course, we've got the bullseye of snows up near Duluth and Hayward, Wisconsin, and Bemidji, Minnesota, Brainerd, Minnesota. So those are the areas that really get hit hard with the snow. And this is another guidance. This is the NAM 3K computer guidance. It's basically showing the same thing. In general, about 3 to 6 inches, maybe even 7 inches of snow across the Twin Cities metro. That would be the same as you get into western Wisconsin, the Eau Claire area, probably somewhere in that 3 to 5 inch range of snow. Further south, Rochester, Red Wing, somewhere in the 2 to 4 inches of snow when it's all said and done. With this storm system. So I guess if you tack on that extra 1 to 2 inches that fell overnight last night and into this morning, when this whole storm wraps up, we're probably going to be looking at 6-7 inches of snow even in the core metro here, especially if we get the heavier snows late tonight and tomorrow. The last map I'm going to show you is Novak Weather. This is the map that I put together. Now you can probably see that from the last time I sent you a potential snow map. I've nudged these snow bands just a touch further south, but I'm still thinking about 6 inches of snow total in the core metro, more around 4 inches on the south side of the metro, and then maybe more towards 8 inches on the north side of the metro. And that would be the same as we get into western Wisconsin. That 6 inch snow line basically hugs the I-94 corridor. And then of course I've got this area of ice, and this is mostly for this morning and afternoon. This area of ice that cuts down the snow totals here in southern Minnesota. Ice from the Twin Cities metro on south to the Minnesota-Iowa border, and then on east into Wisconsin, including the Eau Claire area. And then the bullseye of snow up in Brainerd, Bemidji, Duluth, Hayward, Wisconsin. So anyway, lot to talk about. Big storm continuing to churn towards us. It's going to be a mess out there no matter what, whether it's sleet, even in rain, snow. It's just going to be a mess. The main action, at least from a snow standpoint, I'm thinking is going to be from 9 p.m. tonight to about noon tomorrow, and more specifically probably around 3 a.m. tomorrow morning to about noon tomorrow morning. All right, take care, have a great day. We'll continue to update you.